Hi, welcome back to the second half of Business Forum, and I always forget to say I'm Jim Glenn, and hopefully a good percentage of you that are watching know who I am already. But anyway, my guest for this half is Tom Nebel with Circa Radio.
Cumulus.
Cumulus.
We're getting your clouds mixed up.
I'm getting my clouds mixed up, yeah. Well, I'm an ex-pilot, so that
makes sense.
Do all kinds of them, Stratus, Cumulus. But anyway, Cumulus, and you're across the street essentially from Preston Hood.
Right, we're right on Hollywood Boulevard.
Is that where old 100 used to be?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Good. And as we discussed here before coming on the air, you got a whole series of stations.
Absolutely. Cumulus is a nationwide company now. We're in 30 states, about 4,000 employees. We're the second largest broadcasting company in America when it comes to the number of radio stations. We're in 67 different cities. We're based out of Atlanta, and Cumulus has been operating in Fort Walton Beach and the Destin area for about three and a half years now.
Yeah. And you say you have several stations here in the studio in Fort Walton Beach?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Jim, we own and operate 5 stations here. They are News Talk 1260, which has been on the air for 52 years now. It actually started broadcasting on Highway 98 in the upstairs of Staff's restaurant.
Yeah.
52 years ago. We've come a long way with that radio station, and it has all the big names, Rush and Sean Hannity and Neil Bortz and those guys. And our local morning show is Ken and Jerry. I do want to mention all 5 of our morning shows on our stations are local shows. We're pretty proud of that fact. We have now Coast 93.3. That's our big change. Coast 100, which used to be Love 100 years ago. We just got an increase in power on that station, and we're excited to have 50,000 watts now, and that's allowed us to broadcast from Pensacola all the way to Panama City and up into South Alabama. So we got a big signal boost with 93.3, which is the best of the 80s, 90s, and today. We have 99 Rock, which is WKSM, longtime heritage rock station. Country 105.5 is our country station, which is exclusive in the format here for this part of the Emerald Coast. And then Z96 is our top 40 radio station.
Yeah, good. Well, it sounds like you got a pretty good cross-section of what you... Now, what about the, we were talking before we came on about, I've got the Circa in my car.
Yes.
And what kind of competition does these satellite radios give you?
Well, you have the 2 primary companies, XM and Cirrus, and as you mentioned, people are now getting those. A lot of the car manufacturers are putting those in for free, and that's part of your car package when you buy these new automobiles.
No, that's wrong. It ain't for free.
Well, it's not for free.
It comes in the price of the car.
They give you, it's in the price of the car, I'm sure. They'll give you a year free subscription, for an example, to some of these. But so far, the penetration of the satellite radio is around 4%. So nationwide, that's a nationwide statistic. Here in our area, about the same. So we have 96% of people still listening to what we now call terrestrial radio, which is the radio that you and I grew up with.
Well, those kind of radios, to me, they're good for if you're going cross country.
If you're traveling,
because you got the same station all the time. You're not continually changing tuning.
They have great music, but as always, our radio broadcast and terrestrial radio is a free service, and a lot of people just don't want to pay for a monthly subscription to something. But they're good companies. They have good programming. What we do in Fort Walton Beach and all across all of our radio stations is try to provide great local programming. When it comes to local news, we partner with Channel 3 out of Pensacola for that. Of course, your local weather, and certainly, and we're glad this hurricane looks like it's going to miss us this time, but as we're in these severe weather months, we do a great job, I think, providing local weather information. If there's a car wreck on Highway 98 or 85, we give traffic updates and such as that. So through local programming and just great our programmers locally, to start with, our morning shows again are live. Most of our programmers right here in the building. We have a couple of nationally syndicated shows, but a lot of our elements are right here with people who have grown up right here in Fort Walton and Destin. Yeah.
And you say you've been in the business 25 years.
Yep, 25 going on 26 years now.
You're originally from
Chipley.
Chipley.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm a Panhandle guy.
So you're a local boy, huh?
Pretty much. And I've traveled a little bit. My father is in the Marine Corps, so I've grown up all over the country. But I've been in broadcast a long time. I actually started behind the mic years ago and did a radio show and did morning shows for years. And then went into the marketing and the advertising department a number of years ago and specialize now with working with local businesses in developing branding and marketing campaigns to help them.
Yeah, well, I understand what you mean about growing up in the Marine Corps. I'm retired Air Force, and my children refer to themselves as military brats.
Oh yeah, that's what I was. Still am, always, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's not all bad. But that's not our subject for today, so we won't go into that in detail. But I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
I think it provides a great background.
Oh yeah, it sure does. It makes you. I think it makes you a lot broader in the final analysis. Yeah. Let's see. What are some of the other things that we need to talk? Yeah, local business. What do you do for local business?
One of the things that we're doing, radio's changed quite a bit, and a lot of the advertising techniques and philosophies over the years have kind of morphed into, we boiled it down to just to great branding and marketing of your companies. And we're doing a series of workshops now all across the area. They're free workshops. I call them the big time branding workshops. And basically, retail, and when you take all the financial elements of Okaloosa and Walton counties, it's $4.7 billion that's transacted here on an annual basis. So what we do is try to get companies to get their share, or their unfair share in some cases, of whatever product or service they're selling. So we do that through branding, and branding is simply the positive or the negative, sometimes, mental association that somebody has when a product or service is named. So if you pop up a product, you think good or bad about it. Well, our goal is to create positive mental associations with somebody's business where customers feel kind of warm and fuzzy and they want to come in and do business with our clients. So we create strategic scheduling campaigns, and then we come up with really good messages. We talk today more in the mind of the consumer about what's important to the customer, and we're crafting our commercial messages in that nature. So we're helping businesses, I think, do a better job of marketing their products and services.
Yeah, well, that's to me, that's always very important. And one thing that the radio stations that I've listened to around here, unlike television, 3/4 of the time period for the particular program is not devoted to commercials.
Right.
And that's a real asset in my estimation.
Absolutely. We're limited to 12 or 13 minutes an hour of commercial inventory, so that gives you 45, 47 minutes of music and entertainment. So we try to stay entertainment focused, and we limit our commercials where it's not, so much that we want to tune people out, but we do want to support our radio stations with our local clients, which is very important. We also have a really core philosophy of what we call a triggering event. And a triggering event is simply, you don't need a plumber until your plumbing backs up or you get a leaky faucet. And so whatever the product or service category is, when a consumer has a triggering event, whatever that might be, they now have a need for a product or service. So what we do is talk to local businesses about what a triggering event might be in their particular business. And it's so important to make sure that your name and your brand is in the consumer's mind before, during, and after that triggering event happens. So when something happens, they need something, they already know who that company is. We find that 8 out of 10 people go to the Yellow Pages looking up the name of a business they already know. They're looking up the phone number. So it's really important. Yellow Pages are good, but we want to make sure they know who they're looking for.
Who to look for in
Absolutely.
Yellow Pages.
That's, we kind of partner with, if you're doing a media mix, we want to make sure that broadcast and radio is doing their part to help local businesses grow and flourish.
Well, there's no question about that. Getting your name out there is half the battle as far as selling your product is concerned. Because people go looking in the phone book for a product. You don't find products particularly in the phone book. Every once in a while you find an ad that's got a product, but the thing you're really looking for is a phone number associated with a name.
Absolutely.
And you've already, hopefully, from what you've heard on the radio, and of course everybody, when they're driving around, they've got their radio on, if they're not listening to their cell phone.
Right, sometimes both.
Yeah, that's a good media to get through to them. I think much more so than, say, like television. And I hate to say that because we're on Cox Communications here. I don't mean to knock Cox.
Well, they all have their place, and certainly. But radio, and especially with Highway 98, and you're stuck in traffic, or 85, or any of these major thoroughfares, and we think we do a really good job here because it's the commute time in this community is actually longer. It's equal to some big cities just because of the nature of there's less thoroughfares.
Yeah, well, and that's my point exactly. Is when you're riding around in your car and stopped at stoplights, et cetera, you're a captive audience, so to speak. Where at television, you can get up and go get a drink of water, or you can go to the restroom or whatever. And where here, you're basically a captive audience, which and of course you need to have a message that you can get across, and it sounds like you've got that pretty well down pat.
Well, we believe in whether you're using print or outdoor or cable, broadcast television or radio, just to make sure that you have a continuity in your message and you're really building a brand awareness. And the main thing, it's like exercise. You can't start January the 1st and exercise till January the 15th and think that your business will be healthy all year long. So we
Right.
believe in consistency in advertising, and then you want to have great reach a lot of people with your message, do it with frequency, and then the new thing is anchoring or having a compelling message and just having something that the consumer will be interested in. So
Yeah.
our company is taking a lot of time training our account executives, we call them marketing consultants, in how to be better partners with local businesses. So we're really spending a lot more time training ourselves, and you might remember the old show WKRP.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
Herb
yes,
Tarlick
yeah.
was the sales guy there and always had the plaid jacket and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a connotation of broadcast salespeople for many, many years, but we've got away from that.
Yeah.
And we're coming up with, I think more strategic scheduling campaigns, better creative copy, and just being better partners all around.
Yeah. Well, the name of the game, as we discussed earlier, is getting your name out there. And consistency is
Absolutely.
extremely important as far as that's concerned. Like you say, you can't do it on the 1st of January and expect them to still remember it in
Right.
the middle of May, and when they need air conditioner fixed or
Yeah,
whatever.
Jim, you won't believe
Yeah.
this, but statistics and research show now that the average consumer is bombarded with 5,000 advertising messages in a given day, and that's everything from, it could be the button on your
Oh, yeah.
lapel there, or a pen or a coffee mug, but billboards and park benches and the internet, all these things. So consumers are just hit with so many advertising messages.
Sure.
And so we want to break through that clutter. And that's why frequency is really important, because what happens at the end of the night, I call this the sleep, the great eraser. Your brain downloads or dumps all that information out
Sure.
for products and services that you don't need at that given time. They're called non-essential information, and your brain gets rid of it. So that's why whatever you're doing to market your company, you want to do it with consistency and just do it. If you're going to be in business a year from today, you want to have an advertising and a marketing program a year from today. Plan it out and stick with it.
Certainly, certainly. Yeah, let's say you can't say, oh my gosh, what was that air conditioner guy's name, that I heard back in February, So you got to be consistent with your name recognition is the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now you said something earlier about how do you communicate with the businesses to get their advertising dollar?
How does my company go
Yes,
about that?
yeah.
We have 14 really highly trained. We've grown our sales team up, and again, they're called marketing consultants. But we just call on local businesses. Sometimes they call us looking for help, and our guys are out in the community meeting new businesses as they actually through the Chamber of Commerce is great networking, of course, and through grand openings and such as that. So it's just an ongoing prospecting new business. And then these big time branding workshops, we actually advertise those on the radio station. They're free. They take about 45 minutes, maybe an hour at the most, and we usually cater at lunch.
Okay.
And it's just, there's no sales involved in that event. It's just
Right.
really good
Right.
marketing information.
Yeah, right.
And then people will decide if radio makes sense for them. And the reason we built these 5 different radio stations and we have the different formats is we want to match our listening audience with somebody's potential customer.
Okay, well, I think Parzee's getting very nervous here. I think we're about out of time. So,
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We certainly
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
We're glad to have you here, and good luck on your venture here in the Fort Walton Beach area.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.